Well, hey there everyone, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and once again I do bees even though I don't do bees right now. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana. It is January 29th. That's right folks, end of January here, and here I am going to show you how I do creamed honey. Not how to. This is not a how-to video. My videos aren't how-tos. They're vlogs. I mentioned creamed honey in one of the videos where I was making stuff, and somebody said, hey, why don't you do a video on that? Fair enough, I'll do a video on it of how I do. Now, this is how I do. Remember, I don't own a creamer, so you're going to see how I do it by hand. This actually, what I'm going to show you is the first time I'm doing it this way. Usually it was a hand stir. I learned the creamed honey. I read up on Dice. What is his name? Edison, Elston, something Dice. He was a Cornell University guy back in the 1930s. He came up with this creamed honey deal, and basically it's a controlled crystallization. His recipe, he always pasteurized it. He wanted to not only kill all the crystals, make sure the yeast was killed, because when the crystals form, it's something about how the moisture in the honey, what moisture is left, usually it's low. It should be low when we put it in there, but the moisture that is left, especially if it's high, I think it bonds to the crystals or vice versa. One way or the other, it does it. And the problem is, if there's any bit of extra moisture in there, that yeast, it can activate it a little sooner than you would see it in the liquid honey, from what I understand and what I've read. But anyway, he killed off the yeast, killed off all the crystals. He basically pasteurized the stuff, and I'll talk about that a little bit in there. And then he used paddles or whatever, and he stirred it. And for from 1 or 2 days, he did it. And I've always done mine a day, and things have worked out. And I want you to see this video. All right, here we go. So I'm out here in the honey house working on some creamed honey. I haven't made it in so long, and I did have somebody say, hey, can you shoot a video of what you do? And I haven't shot videos with it ever, actually, so I need to do that, I guess. And what I do is it's a 1-to-10 ratio, one part of the creamed honey, the seed. So 1-to-10 ratio, and I pretty much figured out that about 2.5 gallons of honey is about 2 pints. And so I got about 2 gallons in my bucket, and I've got 40 ounces of cocces. Now, I heard about this stuff from Bruce Jenny, not about creamed honey making, but about, he always buys this. Russell Koopman, the king of creamed honey, if y'all have ever had any of his, those that visit the expo and have ever gotten any of his, it's fantastic, and the consistency is perfect. And he doesn't use a creamer. Again, small scale, kind of like the honey straws. I got to do small scale. I'm not ready for a creamer. But anyway, his is really smooth. And Russell said he used this as a seed. So you need a seed, and I'm going to use this. And I tried some, and I'm going to tell you what, this stuff is fantastic. The consistency is incredible. But I don't have a creamer to do it in. The recipe, if you go back and see what's the guy's name, Dice or what have you, that did creamed honey, he actually pasteurized this stuff, because every crystal has to be cleared out of that honey. It has to be pure liquid, so that it doesn't follow the wrong crystal and take the size of the crystal that it crystallized naturally with. Then it's too coarse. So I want it to follow this crystallization. So I can't have any crystals. So my honey has been warmed and for 2 days now, ready for bottling in my bottler. And what I'm going to do, I put 2 gallons in this bucket, about 2 gallons. And I'm going to let this cool down some, because it's probably at 85 degrees, maybe a little bit. I don't want to destroy any crystals in this. So it's been decrystallized. I'm going to let it cool in this bucket. I'm going to put a lid on it. I've got a spout on this bucket, and I'm going to stir that in. I have always hand stirred it, but I'm going to use what Russell Koopman has suggested to me, one of the stirs that he got, and that's this right here. And I'm going to use it on the drill real slow. We don't want to aerate creamed honey. That's why the creamers, like Hilco makes a really nice one, and it does intervals. Lyson makes a good one. Byron Farris out of Columbia, Tennessee, has a creamer. I think that's his creamer he made. I know he demonstrated it at the expo and set up, and he makes a fantastic creamed honey out of Columbia there. So all these different creamers, but I'm just not at that level yet where I sell a lot. I just don't, I mean, creamed honey, we'll make a batch and sell 40, 50 jars of it, and then we're done for a little while, then we make another batch. And it finally got to where my batch was getting more coarse, and I found a good, my seed, I make a seed off every batch. It's the first jars I pull off for the seed, and then it just kept getting coarser and more coarse and more coarse, and finally I said, okay, and I haven't sold it in a while because I haven't made it in a while. So we're gonna make this, I'm gonna wash this paint stirring thing, I'm gonna put a lid on this, let it cool down. I want it kind of cooler than it is now, straight out of the bottler, and then I'm going to mix it up. And then we're gonna bottle it tomorrow after the air bubbles rise. I don't want any air in it if I can help it. So, all right, I'm gonna get that done. All right, everything's dried. This is cooled down. This is my cream seed that I'm gonna put in. And I'm gonna drop it in here. And I'm gonna blend it in. This is some smooth creamed honey. Again, I normally, with creamed honey, I made some pretty smooth stuff, just simply not mixing it much at all. I mixed it by hand, but it's time to up my game, because I think that's where my seed that I'd pull off began to falter, is the hand mix. And sometimes maybe I didn't have all the crystallization out. So I'm gonna put this in here, and then we're gonna get to mixing. I hope y'all can see. I've probably been blocking this the whole time, have I? Ooh, nifty. And this is not rocket science. And again, this is my first time using the drill like this, so y'all are learning with me. And there we go. So we got about a 1 to 10. All right, Russell. And this is all I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna do about a 10-15 minute mix, and then I'm gonna go out, and then I'm gonna do another 10-15 minute mix, and I'm just gonna do this a few times all throughout the evening into the night, because I gotta get ready to travel to the expo. And this is gonna set up while I'm at the expo. This will make about 2.5 cases of 9-ounce jars. It does a nice job. There we go. That's the speed I want. I don't want to introduce air, so I'm keeping it just below the surface, but I'm also trying to get that honey that's still sitting on the surface. Okay, we're just gonna... And that's what I'm gonna do. So there you go. So I'm gonna cut y'all off. I'm gonna finish this up, and then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do this throughout the night, and then I am going to let me turn this off for a second. I'm gonna do this throughout the night, and what I'm gonna do is just show you me bottling it up and putting it in the fridge, and that's how I make the creamed honey. Again, I hand mixed it before, and it is tough, but I would take my spatulas and I'd just sit in here, mix it and mix it and mix it, and I'd walk away and mix it, and I'd let it sit overnight, bottle it up. So we're gonna do this with the drill. We're gonna get this done, and then hopefully we'll have us some good creamed honey. Well, good morning, everyone. We are back the next morning. I'm done mixing this. And what I did was I mixed about 6 rounds at about 10 minutes each, every 20 minutes or so between mixes. Just to really, the goal is to really blend that creamed honey seed into the regular liquid honey, to really make it one as one. I have never mixed it more than a few times, usually, like I said, by hand, in that 1 day's time. And I always had good product come out. Up until the last seed, the last few batches I did began to get more coarse and more coarse, and that's when I was like, okay, we're out, we got to start with a new seed. I obviously let it, obviously I missed a mark somewhere. But what I did learn from Joey, I was talking to him, and I learned from a live stream, I want to say it was Tom and Melissa, I'm not sure. They talked about the creamers, and that when they do run them long, Joey said he specifically sees it, or he specifically told me he sees it, that by that second day, it really lightens the honey up. So this will be a darker creamed honey. The only light creamed honey I've ever had was the earlier honey. As it gets later, I've always had a more golden. And it's all right. I mean, it's the same stuff. So anyway, where are we at? It's the next day. I mixed it to different intervals last night, maybe 6 different intervals I mixed it. And then I let it set overnight to get any air bubbles out. The way the drill was going, I went the opposite way with the stir, real slow and easy. And it mixed it really well. It was a lot easier than doing it by hand. So here's what we have the next morning. You can see there's a tiny layer, a very, very thin layer of thin, tiny, small bubbles, a few big bubbles, and then some open spots in there. But that's a good thing. We did not introduce a lot of air to it. And it should be thoroughly mixed, and that's the goal. So now I bottle it. At first glance, I don't see a huge difference in just the look of it as far as what it looks like after using a drill versus hand mixing. But what I can say about the texture of it as it was mixing with the drill, I think the drill obviously is a lot easier and does a lot better. Wow, it's night and day using that. I don't know why I never used a drill before. And I talked to Russell. He said, man, look at this little gadget paint mixer I got. It doesn't swirl it. And sure enough, he's right, it doesn't. It just plain out mixes it. I always want to make sure I got my seed. See, that's definitely, it did lighten it up, and trust me, that's light. And it's got a good, oh yeah, it's got a lot better consistency to it. I like that. Of course, I'm using this Honeygate. I can't stand those things. But I get 2 pints as my seed, because I have come up with the measurements that seems to work for me is 2 pints does about 2.5 gallons. These aren't exact pints. These are from where I buy them. I usually put a bowl under here so I don't drip. But anyway, I use these little 9-ounce jars. Get these cases. 12 per case, of course. And that's what I use. And they work great. And they got these little lug lids, they call them. Got the little lugs on them. And they're 9-ounce jars, and that's what I use. They seem to work good. So let's bottle away. And I usually get a couple cases of these. I gotta get these lids out of the way here. All right. And this is what I do. So I'm gonna bottle all these up. You know my way now, how I do. And I'm going to get back with y'all when I get back from the expo. So this will be a pre-expo video, post-expo published. And I'll be seeing y'all before this video comes out. And we'll see what this comes and looks like when I get back. We'll see what the consistency is and how well it does. So there you go. Well, there you are, folks. That's what I got out of it. I got almost 3 cases, actually. I got minus 2 bottles. I'm 2 bottles shy, 2 jars shy of 3 cases. Well, 3 jars, because this one's only a little bit full. But what I'll do, I couldn't get more out of the bucket. I will put that as the sample. So it won't get labeled. It'll be my sample. There's the 2 seeds. Of course, I get those. You can see it's a lot darker than a lot of people's creamed honey, but that's all right. When it comes out, as long as the consistency is the same and the taste is great, it really doesn't matter. All right, I'll see y'all after I go to the expo. Let's go check out this honey and see how it does. We'll see what it how the consistency is. Well, hey there, everyone. We are back, and it has actually been about 2.5 to 3 weeks. I guess 3 weeks since I made the creamed honey. So no need to go over how it transpired, because while it seems like forever when I made it in this video, it was only seconds ago. But I came back actually from the expo, and as you can see, my expo stuff is still piled up pretty well. Hadn't even put I gotta find room for all the honey I got there, those bottles, because I'm out of space. I'm gonna make a shelf around the top of this. And yeah, I'm off subject now, but I'm getting ready to put all this in crates so it can go to the market this morning. That's what I'm out here doing. These are my crates. I just stack them in there. They're stackable. I fill all 3 crates up, throw them in the back of the car. Got a few totes. Y'all see my candles and all that stuff, and off they go. But again, I got back from the expo, and I had put these in this small fridge to set up. And anyway, that's always been my process, to put it in a refrigerator. That one I can control it and keep it a little warmer. And then it sets up. And when I got back from the expo, about 4 or 5 days after the expo. So that would have been about a 2-week period. I checked it and it came out very, very well, very good. So I'm throwing some labels on, and I did have a partially filled jar that I did the sample on, made a sampling jar. So at the market we have something to sample with, because people don't understand what it is. And so it's already been in the market once. You can see it's been dipped out. And I tell you what, it's pretty cool in here, but you can see it's pretty cool. So it's set up pretty hard, but once you dip it out of there and get it out, it's very creamy. So it's beautiful. And taste, oh my gosh, that's some good stuff. So yeah, it was so good. Well, I've learned with cream honey, I think I said this story in the video prior, I can't remember, so long ago I made it. A person that didn't even like honey tried a sample of it and bought a jar years ago. There's just something about, I don't know what it does with the flavor. Ideally, if I wouldn't have had to travel right after I mixed it up, I had to get it in jars that next day and set, and then get everything ready to go and travel, because we took off to Florida for New Year's and then went straight to the expo. So I was going to be gone. I had to get it in, but ideally what I would have done was came in the next day and maybe stirred it 4 or 5 more times, slow and easy at intervals. And you could even do it a third day. And it probably would have lightened it up a lot, because it's not the lightest stuff. And so again, sort of like the straws, the video in the straws, you know, for small scale, I personally don't see myself being able to just buy a creamer for the amount that I sell. On a large scale, definitely. This stuff came out really good. Again, how I do, not how to. You could mix it a few more times. But for small scale, for me, just doing it how I did it, that honey is that creamed honey. I'm telling you, it's creamy. It's as creamy as the seed, I can tell you that. I mean, if there is a difference, it's hard to tell. But what I do is time consuming, and it's, you know, you gotta sit there with a drill and you gotta mix it slow and easy. You can't go fast. You don't want to introduce air in it. That stuff came out excellent. That's just a little showing you how I do, in case it gives you an idea, a way to do it. Maybe you're trying to figure it out. That's how I do, and it seems to work fine. Give it a shot, see what you think. Sort of like the straws, you know. This is just for something small scale. There you go. That's it. It came out great. Hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate all you guys watching. It's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. We did creamed honey this time. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.